Welcome to Influential Entrepreneurs, bringing you interviews with elite business leaders and experts, sharing tips and strategies for elevating your business to the next level. Here's your host, Mike Saunders.
Hello and welcome to this episode of Influential Entrepreneurs. This is Mike Saunders with Marketing Huddle, and today we have with us Shiv Khera, who is the author of You Can Win, a step-by-step guide for top achievers. Shiv, welcome to the program.
Oh, thank you, Mike.
Hey, so give us a little bit of your background and what led you to write your book about top achievers.
Mike, this goes back, we had coal mines in India, close to 1,000 people working. They got nationalized, and we literally came on the street. I left India, went to Canada, and started life washing cars door to door with a bucket in my hand for a couple of years, and gradually got into selling vacuum cleaners, and then totally by accident got into selling life insurance. And right around that time, I saw Dr. Norman Vincent Peale coming to Toronto, and I went into his program. There were about close to 1,000 people, and that is the day when I realized that when he said, problem is a sign of life, and so long as we are alive, we will have problems. And the day we don't have problems, we'll be dead. And he said many times in life, we become our own biggest problem. And that was one of the turning points in my life. I would say one of the major turning points, and started realizing that we are our own biggest problem. Until then, I kept blaming the whole world for my failure, not realizing that I was my own biggest problem. And that was literally a turning point. And then I moved on to the U.S., got into 3 businesses, and I bought out a company out of California in 1984. Started the New Jersey operation, and I sold my company with close to 500 clients for a decent sum. Now, I share this with you because I was literally fired by my manager doing selling life insurance. But when he got me that little commitment from me, he taught me the difference between a promise and a commitment. He said a promise is an agreement we make with the world. A commitment is an agreement we make with ourselves. And that day he taught the difference between a moral commitment and a legal commitment. He said, remember, in life, moral commitments are much stronger than legal commitments. And that is really what we are talking about, a turning point. So we have to be honest to ourselves if we want to go up in life. And that was a turning point, and which changed my life. And then when my life changed personally, professionally, socially, I said somebody gave to me in my life, otherwise I'd still be washing cars. So I started volunteering my time in maximum security prisons in the jails in the U.S. In Morris County Jail in New Jersey, I started going there and teaching attitude, self-esteem programs. And I saw life change. And then I said, let me take this to the corporate world. And then I took my programs, the workshops, to the corporate world. And God was kind, and I signed up Lufthansa as one of my first clients. And then there was no turning back. It has not been easy, but there was no turning back. That's all.
Yeah, I think you hear so many different variations of that, turning point of, you are your own worst problem, or, get out of your own way, and all of those types of things. What do you say to people that maybe recognize that aspect of their life, but then they don't know what to do to get around that? Because it's one thing to recognize it, but it's a whole other thing to know how to and to take action to getting past that.
You know something, interestingly, Mike, there's a very old saying which says, when the student is ready, teacher emerges. And that is so true. And when the student is not ready, they could see solutions under their noses, and they will not do anything. And that's a fact. And I know personally, within my very close family, and one of the persons went through a very difficult time all their lives. But you know something, they talk big things, and they keep talking, moaning, groaning about everything, and they keep talking how bad things are or how unlucky they are. But you give them one good book, which is a turning point for anybody's life, they wouldn't read it. They'll take it, but they will never read it. But you know something, if they're hurting so much, why wouldn't they even read a book? And if it doesn't make sense, throw it away, but give it a shot. So they won't even give it a shot. I mean,
do you think an aspect of that might be the fact that in our day and age today, we are surrounded by so much information readily available at our fingertips that sometimes people don't recognize, they might hear, well, this person's life changed because they did this, and this person's life changed because they did that. And I think that we just get inundated with so many self-help that it becomes shelf-help, and we just see it, don't even internalize it and put it up on the shelf.
Right. The only thing is, to my experience, most people do recognize it. But you know something? Recognition is not good enough.
Yeah.
There's a little saying, knowledge is only information. Understanding is comprehension, but application of it is wisdom. Now, bottom line is, they understand. But now they don't want to do it. They are so comfortable with their misery, they don't want to get out. Because any change is uncomfortable. And they don't want to go through that level of discomfort. You think people who achieve any heights anywhere in the world, they are not comfortable? Don't they get out of their comfort zone? I mean, did you think I wanted to wash cars for 2 years with a bucket in my hand? Oh, come on, I didn't want to do that. But yeah, that was a stepping stone for me in my life. That was not my career. While I was washing cars, my eyes were elsewhere. I was reading different books. I was looking to go around, sit in a good program. Now, I'm not saying every program is great, but listen, how many ideas do we need to succeed in life? Only one.
Yep.
How many books do you need to make $1 million? Only one. You see, look, I refuse to believe that people do not get opportunities. Many times we are either unprepared or we are not willing to pay the price to prepare to succeed. See, most people want to succeed. Very few people are willing to pay the price to prepare to succeed. Look, I mean, Michael Phelps trained 10,000 hours, man. How many people are willing to do it? See, but most people want to win 8 gold medals, but they can't. I mean, if you and I also train 10,000 hours, probably you and I can be at the Olympics too. But you see, I'm not willing to do it. Probably you are not either. So bottom line really comes down to is most people do want to succeed, but very few people are willing to pay the price to prepare to succeed. Price to prepare to succeed. That is the key. And that holds true not with me or with you or anybody out there. It is universal. And you know, something very interesting came in. Bruce Lee, I was reading, in fact, my new book is coming out, and I just quoted in here. Bruce Lee had one leg was shorter than the other by 1 inch. Now, that's a lot. And he had a major problem with his eyesight. He was nearsighted. I believe he was close to -10. He was wearing contacts. And Bruce Lee said something very profound. And he said, I am not afraid of someone who knows 10,000 ways how to kick. He said, I am afraid of a person who knows only one way to kick, but he has practiced 10,000 times.
Yeah,
man,
I've heard that one too. I love that.
What a message. What a powerful message. I mean, this is not rocket science. And
you know,
you go to the champion boxer. Are you there?
Yes.
Look at the champion boxer, Muhammad Ali. He said, in life to succeed, we need 2 things. We need the skill and the will. And one without the other will not do the job. They're both important. But, he said, between the two, will is a little more important than the skill. He said, when I was knocked down, and I was lying on the floor and the referee was counting me out, at that time, it was not my skill that picked me up. He said, what skill? You already beat me. He said, at that time, it was my will that kept saying to me, get up one more time, just get up one more time, and just get up one more time, and just get up one more time. It was the will, not the skill. Mm-hmm. So really, it comes down to the will to succeed, and that's it. Why go that far? Even there, there's a study done, will to live. There are people who are terminally sick. If they have the will to live, they live a certain period longer than the others. Mm-hmm. If there is a major event happening in the family, like a marriage or birth of a child or something happening within the family, somehow that grandparent has the will to see that event. And they keep waiting for that event. And after the event takes place, they die after that. Now, they had the will to live till that point. And then they said, now it's okay, I've seen it, and everything is okay. So they pack up and leave. So there is something called will to live. And why go that far? Surgeons say people with a positive attitude, the recoveries are much faster from surgeries than negative people. How come?
That mindset.
Mindset, that's right. So when we say they don't recognize, my answer is they do recognize.
Yeah.
But you know something? They don't want to get out of the comfort zone. And they just want to continue. And they're so comfortable with their misery that they want to live in it, and they don't want to see the discomfort of even progress. That's all.
Yeah, that reminds me of a story I heard once, or a small example, where the farmer walks up to another farmer's house to talk to him, and he sees his old hound dog laying on the front porch, and they were talking, and every couple seconds the hound dog raises his head up and howls, kind of like in pain. And after a few times, the one farmer says, well, why is your dog doing that? And he goes, oh, he's just laying on a nail. And then the other farmer says, well, why doesn't he just get up and move? Then he won't have to howl in pain. And he goes, well, it probably doesn't hurt him bad enough to expend the energy to get up and move. And that's exactly what you were mentioning there, which is someone can recognize their situation, but realize that it's going to take some work and effort to change what they're currently doing, and they're not willing to do it. So the pain of where they're at is not strong enough to make them want to take that effort to go to another place, the next level.
Mike, you're so right. And either the pain is not strong enough, or they love it. They are used to the pain, and they would rather live with the known comfort than an unknown discomfort, even if it is for the better.
Yeah, so let's wrap up with the thought of, tell us a little bit more about your trademark, winners don't do different things, they do things differently.
Yeah, it's a global registered trademark. And basically, many times people ask, what do winners do differently? And my answer is, winners form the habit of doing things losers don't like to do. Mm-hmm. And what are the things losers don't like to do? They're the same things winners don't like to do either, but they do it anyway. You notice, losers don't like to get up in the morning. Winners don't like to get up in the morning either, but they get up anyway. See, losers don't like to work hard. Winners don't like to work hard either, but they work hard anyway. So bottom line is, they form the habit of doing things losers don't like to do. See, winners form positive behavior into a reflex action. Because if we have to think to do the right thing, we can never do it right. It must become a reflex action. No wonder we call some people are lucky, we call them lucky. Every time they touch dirt becomes gold, and some people we call unlucky. If you analyze this, people we call lucky, analyze their life, analyze every transaction in their life, the positive behavior has become habitual. Every time they do it, they just do it right. Their reflexes move right, it happens right. And the reverse is true. So our parents said one thing, form good habits, and habits form characters, because 90% of our behavior is habitual. We don't think, we just act. And if we have positive habits, we are a positive character. Mm-hmm. And if we have negative habits, we are a negative character. And good habits are very hard to inculcate, but they're easy to live with. And bad habits come easy, but they're hard to live with. And before we got the habits got us. So really, we are creatures of habits. And if we
that reminds me of a quote that I read recently that Thomas Jefferson said, and he said, "I find that the harder I work, the more luck I seem to have." So work and luck seem to go hand in hand.
So true. Isn't that true? Absolutely.
Well, Shiv, it's been wonderful getting to know you. What is the best way that people can engage with you, read your book that you currently have, which you've sold over 3.5 million copies, and then maybe get on your waiting list for your new book that's coming up?
Well, I'm grateful. We have a website, www.shivkhera.com, and you could reach us through that, and it'll be my privilege to be in touch with you, Mike.
Well, that's wonderful. Well, I'll make sure we have that link in the show notes so people can reach out to you, and I really appreciate your time. It was wonderful getting to know you today, Shiv.
Thank you, sir.
You've been listening to Influential Entrepreneurs with Mike Saunders. To learn more about the resources mentioned on today's show or listen to past episodes, visit www.influentialentrepreneursradio.com.